that the flood and rains in Accra was as a result of Akufo-Addo's failure.
This flooding is not a new problem. Government in charge of solving it.
Nobody else was responsible for what happened on Monday. It is the government. And I'll tell you more.
A problem solver, a man of solutions, and that is Dr. Mahama Bawumia.
MPPA, on terms are doing MPPA.
And to the best, no more would be good MPPA.
Yeah, good. Now I see my work pictures and the pen number.
Mamma Corba, a BM Emra, Jumadi, you are some sort Thanasia, and some are air cosso out of my Ganamu. Yadinina, a bread I have for in Zimbabwe, and a free president, His Excellency John Mahama, Asuya. Eba Miracle aboagye kwako din komobi na enkomano chinabusuam ensema akoto twamba no esawani ensesa me ena mekacho encheye ena ensuo efa enkan pumpuni mantam enochi Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia ena dwumaefo wo mu din komo ena nanam so ama Miracle aboagye akokasa ede afa ho akyensemu se ono ankasa fie ensuo efa ho na edi enama odi san komono eno chino Ghana for tuja edema Miracles aboagye eno chi nsoso no Afenyo minority leader so akwa din komobi akwa bo nanadodan Akufo-Addo di eno chino ensem bebre ena akwa fa ede about the best Ghana okopiem ewo Ashanti region omo de work ehye so abigije bebam na edin komodi afa ho na afi no bibia ay kama when nsefofo bi ni aboabo no a yede ni nyina ebre ay for baransana no commander Miracles aboagye se ensuo yiri fani fie nanso wanya John Mahama call John Mahama amfre no amoa no quick one odi yentie we mra ne yakoba abusia ensem wachi pa.
I listened to Honorable former minister and I think he agrees with you. It's leadership. He just has a responsibility to at least make the current leadership not suffer too much damage. But largely, even if you listen to the final argument he made, it's leadership. In every society, there will be thieves, there will be criminals, there will be miscreants, there will be deviants, there will be recidivists. There are everywhere. But leadership ensures that all these people, including the saints, the popes, the pastors, are able to coexist in a way that the society thrives. So it is leadership. To try and use the indiscipline of a few as a cover for leadership failure is unacceptable. That is why the mandate has been given to you. If all of us were pastors and popes and saints, we will not elect leaders. We elect leaders because we know that the society that we run, all of us are not at the same wavelength. And so people would misbehave. And so you'll be given a mandate to ensure that the majority of us who are respecting the laws and the rules do not suffer from the actions of the few who are doing all this indisciplined stuff. So the president and the government has failed us. That is the summary of it. And this is not politics. This is accountability. Yesterday, the government that was in place had to take responsibility. And I take inspiration from our president. He was clear. He said that the flood and rains in Accra was as a result of Akufo-Addo's failure. I believe him. I agree with him. And that is why a lot of people who probably suffered floods in 2021, 2022, 2023 went and probably voted against the MPP because they had a presidential candidate who said he had a solution. So there is no question. Nobody in this country is responsible for the flooding other than the government. Nobody. No. Nobody else other than the government.
You are not going to intervene.
Nobody else. It is the government's responsibility. And let me tell you, I'll outline how I feel and I think this government has failed. You see, you come to office. One of the biggest red flag, or everybody knows in the capital, is flood. Every government is aware of that. And that is why immediately you came to office, you formed an anti-flood task force. Why did you form that anti-flood task force? If you didn't have the responsibility to deal with flood, Why would you go ahead to form a task force? It means that you acknowledge that it is your responsibility. If not, why did you set up a task force? Now, this task force immediately put bloggers in a vehicle and asked them to go and wait for them whilst they fly in a chopper, landed the chopper, and briefed the bloggers what they have seen, and said big things about how they've been given the mandate, marching orders by the president to ensure that this time we do not see flooding, and that they are going to do all they have to do, led by no mean a person than the Deputy Chief of Staff of the Republic of Ghana in charge of operations. It meant that he can command any state resource available to ensure that there is no flooding in the city. Nobody else is responsible for what happened on Monday. It is the government. And I'll tell you more. The anti-floods responsibility, task force responsibility, is to ensure that what happened on Monday did not happen. Not only that, remember that 3 weeks before Monday, another one had happened. That people had died. So first of all, that anti-flood task force failed. Because your job is to anti. Your job is to prevent. You would have succeeded if there was no flooding. As long as we have seen flood in such a devastating nature, you failed. Take responsibility. Don't make excuses. It is disrespectful. It is insulting. It is heartbreaking. When you were given a responsibility to anti something and the thing has happened and you want to shift blame. Number two, the government has managed the crisis and the disaster in the most shambolic manner than we have ever seen. And I'll explain to you, Samson. You see, the flood happened. Remember, there was a flood about 2 or 3 weeks before the Monday one. The one that some building collapsed in Adenta and some people died. That was the first warning. Remember, people died with that one. What did the government do? There was a building that collapsed right here around Caprice. What did the government do? What was the government's response to all of these things? There are 3 or 4 levels of people who are affected by this. And I'll explain to you. The government quickly comes in the middle of the disaster and says that, oh, we are in a chopper, we are looking at how bad the situation is. The next morning, they said we have allocated 350 million for flood relief and flood mitigation. And this is where they are missing the point. Today is Saturday, 5 clear days since the flood happened. I haven't been able to enter my home. My house is empty. Nobody has called me. Nobody has come to me. Nobody has asked me where I sleep, what I eat, what my family is eating, where they sleep. I am just one citizen. Forget about me because I am in the category of people who can find their way around. So put us in a different bracket. Now, for those who cannot find their way around, those who live along the Odo River, those who live at Tiptoe Lane, those who live at Circle, that cannot find places to sleep since Monday, have you heard the government open up the sports stadium, set up a dome, giving them blankets and mattresses, and tell them that come and sleep here whilst we find ways and means to release the 350 million. So again, even in the process of the disaster, the management has been very poor. People have not been prioritized. People have not been prioritized because what a government that cares about its people does is that immediately the floods happened. I should know that for those of you who have been affected by the rain on Monday night, where are you sleeping? What are you eating? What are you wearing? Not a single one has been done. Not even one. Then I ask myself, 6 days after the flood, I have heard in the news that there's a 350 million allocation for flood relief for those who have been affected. I know not where I'm supposed to go and write my name. I know not where I'm supposed to follow up on this 350 million. It's been 6 days. I will die before the processes or whatever you are going to do happen. And that is just me. As at last night, human bodies were still being dragged from the Odo River. We do not even know the actual count of people who have died. The number of young people who sleep on the streets that have been washed away by this rain are not counted because nobody is even looking for them. Nobody knows them. Nobody is asking of them. Because for these people, it is only when they wake up in the morning that they see their bodies and talk.
Okay, Commander.
Yeah, Roger.
Miracle Sabuachi.
Okay.
But then some doson, but answer no.
Yeah.
And come on, Miracle Sabuachi D.
Okay.
Over PM our my Ghana mua. Ghana for a digesting some no. Ghana for a dihun come over quick one. Young Ramway, I say, I obey blemu abino. The akosu nyina no. Blemu citizens no. Nebom abino no be blemu no.
Oh, Roger, Mamina was in the first place now. Nimkoma wadi, it was say tutum.
Oh yeah.
Also blame abani tutum.
Yeah.
Erata because abina fundamentally or sise krono.
Ah, o say yajitum, but me dey menyin tumo.
Erata say abani nya aban we nkwa na aba. Eni say o blame aban a ono ankomom no. O say 2021 nso yiri, 22, 23. Na che nso yiri sa besi ne.
Oh yeah.
Enti oma breso no. Enso ni yiri no. Ne nyansam no, omo sofo ya na.
Dabi.
Eni say o blame aban ena. Mo de na onya aban ana.
Omo hwama individuals bi asidan asinsuom.
Yeah.
8 years. Woman timi anya ho hwie o.
Of course.
John Mahama ba 1 year ya that time na nsuo nya ntoyo.
Dabi.
John Mahama ne na ban start say omo pese nsuo betoto na aba be yiri.
Of course.
Enti omo start say omo ye demolition exercise.
Yeah.
Demolition exercise. What would na MB for ekeka?
Mo Right, a honor me jina. Say a nay oblemu aban we say. Aban na ye cause of flood na. Right, the na aban ni beti ma ye nyina ne say. Miracles aboagye baby a wote. Either say e ni fee anase or rent no. Na was say aban ni kobu dan ni tugu because e bia esinsuo ho. Esinsuo kwan. But ye kobu dan na. Miracles aboagye be press conference aka say ono no we target. Because oye MPP ni no and o ma target area wote and ya bebu dan na go
na se okwa no miracle sabuaje e wo se o si the trust because na nima gu ase
of course
ensuo no akwa kosi dan asi
of course
enti dia na ba ya ensuo fa ofie
mo enipa wo na wo ye leader of communications ema Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia ye tire se enei se Bawumia we ne ya anka wo na wo be ye minister to say Felix Ofosu kwachi da
communication minister
ona ka wo da ho enti se enne wo musa haye waterways a higher Ramsar area. Now what could see die with her, and now what rented die with her. But I didn't expect it. Ye can you were areas were cry in so for her. Bisa miracles, aboagye say area what no. Da ben na was sorry. Organizing crofo say get a small choke yim. Said ye be nso ta e be yirim fire. You expect a buy now 1-2 area and say what a buy me you get this no more. I no correct. A buy yi me ye. But who ni pana what na flood ne ba wo na obewu oniema nyina ba sese de ne o claim say ne niema nyina say no onso onyansam no enum tina tete ye communal labor na ye mpotem ade a ye lake de enkoye no na ya ye na akoye
ai miracles aboagye se de koso ni nyina no ode ni nyina e hye aban no enye but yensu ye baba tena ha no ade enkomo na edi ye de 70% ama temamufuo no ene ye de 30% eblemu aban no
of course because ye can miracles aboagye na di adanse say area wote nso be fa ho no o ka gatas yasem say enne o sa aban yi gatas erata say gata no o amfa nwura ngum na wani mu fie anim gata ni mu ye chok na watim na wo yatini fie anim wo yatini shop anim a enso ne be yiri gata no enye chok erata say wa amfa bola meguma gata no enye chok na se won kosi dan won so ho a enya de a ensuo no kwan ye ba block no enti problem no 70% ye eni so wie na de be sha aban a meanwhile aban ni de ne se ya koso problem na ye sra ne se on solve ma ye solve no mpo a obu dan no NP before the year propaganda say NDC aban bubun crofo dan to Enji se nei endi sa ba bubu nkrofo dan tugu dia ereta mu na mo de sa de ni ye dede enti sa aban na mubu a ensuo bekumu ensuo ku a you are complaining ereta mo ye de nipa
eni asem
menti ne ma bi ase
ai oto so di nkomo so obawie
okay
o se ai ensuo ni yiri fa wo mo no o sisi o mo nte aban ni nka
ereta wonim nti miracles aboagye na o twen say anka ensuo ni yiri na ade eche ye na no na Ministry of Finance it may release this car and ya kwa isika no ni afra miracles budget 20,000 Ghana cedis
na da me na meka se kwotena nsuo ni
asem ni nyina me maka se problem na aba no doctor ye hwe omo a omo ye nkwada because akwada de enye ne pe no de kwotena ho enti ye hwe under age for ni ade a na ya bo omo ni disable for omo ti those areas but nipa ne ho odin awo no anya sika ode akosi fie ewo nsuo kwan mu no aban ni ho kwan sa aban kope sika ma no
na aban no kwa wa ya de o asa ai voter for nsuo fa o no akofo ko gina se mo kra mo nto aba mane mo to se John Mahama aka che ai wo mo nsuo ni yiri fo mu fie ni se wo mo nto aba mane da
mo because voter for de no na enye so makosi da wo nsuo kwan mu enye so ma block gates yo na mom ɛyɛ ɔman ni nyina kosombo dra me be yusu no ɛna ya ma nsuo no ya blocking nsuo na nsuo na ya ma ɛna ya ma ɔman nya we ɛna ebie nsuo na nsuo no kotwi fa ɔmo so director ɛnum po na nanado ka kyerɛ ɔmo sɛ ɔmo nto aba ma no nti utu say nanado feels like ɔmfa ɔmo ho how much more wa na wakɔ si dan asi nsuo wa na wa block nsuo kwan ɛnya akra ba bia na nsuo ayire fa enti it tells us say ye niema pepepa and kebetima avoid these issues and the miracles ye de say aban ni say okɔ high dan no ana okɔ sifie no wɔn mu say ɛhɔ yɛ even say flooding area
o say nsuo no so one thing say ɔmo say this time no enya baabi a ye flooding areas nko na eyiri fo amse ba kromu nyina
the writer agreed say ba kromu nyina ye gitum e ko baabi a dem problem ne say the man ni ya kwan ko baabi a ne say ya block nsuo ne kwan ti nsuo ne be mane afiri ni kwan mu na atesi krom atesi krom a gutters na ka be fam no ye de ball a fill gutters no nsuo ne ntimi wura gutter nim e be fa kwan e be wura ofie nti adom de e aban na kreti ye
ai obi say Sanka MPP aban Miracle aboagye hwema Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia enkomu ye niema yi a enkanya ni se na ye di sankomo yi
erata na kre unse memfa ho ebi ni o Miracles aboagye felt like omo wa aban mu enti they are enjoying omo mfa ho se Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia a o ka se enei e na aban no se o ka kire ne boss e na ne boss e solve this problem of which no omo nyina ni problem because na nsuo ni yiri so omo solve ya anka ne onka mektre radio so na TV so enka nkyere se ne dem niema nyina sei
ena omo so se aban eye ntoaso enu ntina omo ntimi anye no entina Ghana for to abade tia omo no omo to abade ma NDC aban entimo ba ade na omo nye
enu ntina NDC aban ba ye no in the first year Afenyo oyi ministers right oye sa anyema ni wie ya of fixing omo mbetena offices no early in the second year and oyi anti-flood committee omo na task force wa omo na in charge of anti-flood say omo ba boana nso yire ne yabete so afi na omo ye adwuma boso miensa problem a 8s one solve usi boso miensa ni no on solve na obetime di boso miensa abubu adan ye won so ho nyina wie aye new system drainage system e wa akra kro ni nyina wie mi bisa o e bosome miensa obetim de abubu adan ye wu nso hu nyina wie a deliver ramsar site ni free na wakoyi gates mu nyina wie na waye gates akese na waye drainage system na waye bridges in 1 year aban be ne betimi
se NPP for enyai propaganda no na omo anka asem na da ho na asem na da ho ni se yentimamufuo no nso no yensu esuman nye ya yetimi sheda kotena tensuo ho ba bia eni se yetena yame chawati ase na ya kwa tena ho afensuo to na yiri fa yawi a na ye de kwa kwosha aban se aban na ye mistake
erata na kra flood ba ya mi hu video a rough enam krom na o check omo etu bola tugu o kwa no mu se maami bi sorry to say wakoja ne nan agu polim ena ode abeto gatam ena rough say toilet na ode atum no ubeyi o se gatam wa onrum enti okwakope obi amana abeboa no kope ne ba amana abeboa amana bi so look at this pani ma me pani wa ko toilet wonu fie akekere odi abeto gatam na gata na ye choked obi akoton kube wura no oba ye gata no ho no obehwe agum rafu bisa na se o de gum na aye bridge odi kube wura ni gu gata nim na aye bridge no obi oba rafa so that common sense obi problem aban Miracles see ka problem is yen ka aban enyi ni pani nyina nko stadium na yemfa omu kogu ho na ja yemfidi omu yemo tent na yemo omu nkoda ase MPP fo adwen nyina ye enne omu ni solution for otena stadium ho omu bedo ho forever david enti se de omu kogu ho ne na omu da ho na otwemi yenu a mi bisa se enso ni jai ye ko August na enso ni jai to a stadium ho anom beda ana se be relocate omu amoma ko back to omu fie na omu ko afedan so yi
ese Miracles aboagye se John Mahama ni baabi na eno no ntia ase na da Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia ni wana
director omu se
kwada Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia fie
very simple Bawumia no practical solution Bawumia ko hoyi The writer almost say, oh, or a very cool leader, or call your call for or call site, and what then a 9 number teaching. After that, the solution again. Bawumia no solution. Uncle Bawumia continue solution. Because ye nim say Bawumia solution. Right, Uncle Bawumia uncle solution. Because Bawumia ye be ye. Our come here to say Bawumia even in opposition. Wa born whom they are champagne. Uncle Bawumia on baby moment.
Okay. Commander, yen toso na ye heard this video emra. Afenyo making so dim koma for sunset. Now, one day somebody two dwan kwa de abusua I ano din do quick one o de entimra.
This flooding is not a new problem. What is new is the government in charge of solving it. They told us yesterday when they were in opposition that the floods in Ghana were a leadership problem. These are their words, not my words. They said drains were blocked because leaders did not enforce the laws. They said buildings were sitting on waterways because leaders looked the other way when the foundations were being poured. They said city flooded every year because the people in charge lacked the political will and that there was leadership failure. That was their own diagnosis, and many Ghanaians believed them. Today, we have them in charge and in government. And after the worst flooding this capital city has seen in a generation, after many lives were lost, after many people were exposed to danger, the government is back again telling us that the problem is engineering and not leadership. That is the quaking contradiction of the NDC for you. And then there is a matter of how our leaders responded in the immediate hours after the disaster. The president himself took to his helicopter and conducted an area inspection of the affected communities, flying above the muddy waters and the submerged homes and the displaced families from the comfort of the sky. It was captured on camera. It was well choreographed. And when he landed, he announced that his government will release money from the contingency fund. Ghanaians watching from flooded sitting rooms were expected to be reassured. But our flag bearer did something different. Dr. Bawumia did not wait for the waters to fully recede. On Monday, Dr. Bawumia issued a statement in which he expressed grief over the loss of life, extended condolences to the bereaved families, and called on the government to treat this not as a seasonal inconvenience, but as a national emergency it is. He did not take to a helicopter. He did not fly above the pain and observe it from a safe distance. He went in. He walked through the mud of the affected communities. He sat with the bereaved. He looked the displaced in the eye. He stood in the spaces where families had lost everything, and he did not perform grief for the cameras. He shared it. And beyond the sympathy, he provided food and direct support to the affected families, because he understands that a leader who only visits suffering in a statement has not truly shown up. That is not the action of a politician looking for a camera. That is the action of a leader who understands that nation building begins with showing up when the nation is in pain. A problem solver, a man of solutions, and that is Dr.
Minority leader.
Okay.
Afenyo Maki.
Okay.
I say I ensure eyiri no.
Yeah.
Enye ne ensure ba be yiri. Na ro dan kwa kufuado. Ai atia konwa no so na dwuma pa oyeye. But still na NDC aban John Mahama mo sabotage. Say aban no. Eno be take you over. Who do ensure see yiri. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia kwa no opposition no akwa boa wo mo leader we na ose do man hye ne sa no enko sa nkomo no odi o
director
ose nye leader or the plan be fa wiem
okay my men started what problem no na me mawi o the choice of leader na odi hu nkomo no director ose NDC opposition no omo say aban ne ntoto ne ma yie omama amanfo asi dan e wo waterways mi omama gutters aye choked yenye ho adwuma e na ensuo yire is it a lie eyentro ana enyentro e na oka say NDC ba aban mu nei omo say eye engineering problem director masem nyina ne say Afenyo marking or that school for no NDC asem mo kan in opposition say eyade ayesisi adan e wonso akwan mu e na gutters aye choked na enei or say this workers engineering problem no say yesi dan esi nso akwan mu say gutters aye choked you need enough gutters you need drainage system a engineering problem enti the NDC kan in opposition no eye asem ni nkyerɛkyerɛ mu e na de omo kan nei eye the same issue but eye asem no me fa ne say in a technical way because some people before this idea say obi e wasi dan e wonso akwan mu bia no yema building engineers any omo eye town planners enhwe na yen clear ni nyina mfiri ho na after that e dan bia eni ahoden baabi a ye tete nsase bia enye papa drainage system any gutters ya entimi emma yen survive no engineers enhwe na yen nyimfiri ho na omo propose new drainage system emma na yenya ka problem no be solve enya eno enye leaders problem enye engineering problem and so kwat catch school for ne say NDC in opposition as a leadership NDC in power almost a engineer na enye yen yetifie any the engineers ekwa solve problem no the otia ban mu and the best supervisor ma engineers no so ahwe na problem na solve and they are right now tunim kwama odia o kirem say Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia na ye good leader adan ya Bawumia koye no okotieti atechem Bawumia koye no director odemu ekoma omo enu na kire say oye good leader e be say me bisa wo say obi ade mu kọ omo prima mpani na ala mu nyina ade mu kọ no mu kotieti atechem a next year 2027 enso ne toy be say yira na say nyira
adan na on kasa honorable Kennedy na good leader because hospital besa okoche okole bumu ni yi na nsem won wado ya honorable Kennedy aye won niema honorable Kennedy ya no nye bi ni Bawumia de ye o enso mi hu sa Afenyo marking wagina ba bia kase honorable Kennedy a good leader but emu keka Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia ko che no o se on the good leader
and aside that honorable Kennedy no ayare fo ni hia empani assignment to survive
what you say
omo ye kom ho asem ne senso ayira fa o director na dmofo e provide aduane ne niam ma o enti Bawumia mo na nkompo a ye won na dmofo ni other individual personalities ya director almost providing enti Bawumia dey we it will not change anything and for the cameras Bawumia tie no
for the cameras
enokre Bawumia tie atechem no e besi ne solution ye dey
masa obi ni plane nam wiem na watimi asobe asase ni nyina no obi akọ ikro ba ko peso na ye de camera to no so no muso ono no de ne ye mo condemn na we kwa MP for me amoye cheap politics
the right winim say president mama ko tie atechem o she Wellington boot ko jina atechem na videos ni ba to mbeka so okoye amagana fo hu say asam ne ba wakọ say by na president ma anko ho no defia o mbeka say mampani ni nwene mu hu so yiri fa mo wansi ho ama president mama eko fru plane eko steady ade no hu say the problem ne kese sitie ansa ne yakodun ho afa solution e de aba na o mo say onwere obi ahoko ye kra problem no wansi form o ti wiem na wo he or enjoy but these are people emfa ho ne de mampani ni beye they will have problem with mampani no was untimi nkan kire me say Bawumia tuna by 8 years this problem na e wo ho wo jetum say enye dakro problem e problem a wo for so many years enti Bawumia na wo koche mo no time otia ban mu na problem no ho no Bawumia adwen wantima anwene enya adwen bi say problem no ye yesa ne be solve nemum ne solution ne say okọ position na enzo yiri fa amanfo a obeto mu e de akoche what a leader leader wa bon say manya opportunity man solve problem no nemum me kwotena akire na problem ne ba na makogina ho ahwe na matomo de abra nipa no mintimi solve afeda enzo sa yiri fa na mesa atomo na me de akoma no emu no kro de koyi I am tempted to believe say allegedly emu bi ayira report no ebi kura sa amoni bi na da so ho no
but on the way ade
Sese.
So odi mu akwache wo mu.
Director, odi mu kwache ye. Eno na ada ne campaign. Omo de ye campaign. Ebesi ne despite match bi. Me bisa say what is said despite ne hunipa bi ne worker bi ne presenters na kwatena se. No me dey say despite do a good o. Eno kwache mo watch bi.
Na onim say me woman ba kwache mu na odi o se Dr. Bawumia. Dr. Bawumia. Enti MPP for ne bia MPB na otomo fia bi no kwacha. O se Dr. Bawumia.
Sao because omo dey ye campaign. And this campaign issues we know. We know it. It is idea we say. But eno nkyere say brand never try and preach. School for ye kind director enne opa mayensan to about only tertiary institutions. And people besa lusu. They know it. Omo nim dey ko. They want me for idea man me convince ye.
Quick one abigi tinase na eni nkomo na the base Ghana womo ye work e wa Ashanti region menim sa abigi kobi osu an kobi o quick one abigi tinase na eni nkomo so bibia bokọ de
na ma nyame adu me ho de papa
na the base Ghana anse me hu se work bi koso e wo Kumase na ejakom so ba monten be di nkomo se work bi ankoso baran the best Ghana no say o A and B ejakom de na B no work no so fa pa o je screen so on say pictures ne da so yes the best Ghana you know nkomo ketua bi ansa na ya konsem no so e
na mama me nche afo na enye ye ni the best BA aye the best aye ba akopre
Za
the best bia ni ho
na ejakom de no
omo ye MPP fo na
za
Dr. Bawumia nkofo na na say Dr. Ejakom tumi aba abontene aka kire ye say first third no working to Kumase na work we kwa obehu Ejakom say obaka kire Ejakom say ya trofo ya asa Ejakom ye nkontemponi Ejakom Dr. Bawumia nkofo na the same thing Ejakom wo on free ho Ejakom tumi nkan kire me say the best for now, yes, see your doctor in Japan. No, the way MPP voted, I see your can in Japan. I yes, you go work with Kumase. I just want to mean cancer so doctor in Japan. Now in breaking news, I just go call your pamno. Can Japan as a apam? I can't just on cannot crack on penny ball. On pesa. Oh, let me see. What tell me what? I just go call your pamno.
You know what kunum. Mo kune fa pa o.
Oh, and yes I fa you. Ghana for MPP for na who say nipa na omudi animu no omuni aim. Nipa na omapam na sin che no owo vision. And nipa ni di na ekoso Asante region. Omako kotachi. Anointing na work in the bus anu. Me ka the last time I can Japan omu ba work with Kumase. Dr. Bawumia mu nyina saka MPP na cheso. Ba se wo Kumase nyina omu fire no. Omu ka kire ba se say ya ma omu mfa obia. Ti sa wo kenan koso we omu ntia aba mo nti omu ntime control ba se no.
Sese wo so omu ka kire sese.
Ba se na ye takam no. Na ye ko wo ke Kumase no. Omu control sese atam na MPP na teso 2024. Ba se na nka ye ko fa nipa bebre ba no. Omu sisi ba se no. Se bas ne nyaduma this year ay any se aban ne tesum omo ye kwa bia se bas na ba wunti pa woni ahode anti ane won bas abe fa nipa aba the base enkofo mu tro mu din no ama epi fo kura boshik shek na aba ne say 20 ye ye ba ne nim sa 2020 ye wi ni ye badi second Yabedi second in 2028 no 32 no
di 28 one be ne
oh see ye ni mdada
za
aye de NDC that be MPP for the omon kan habi
and the base no mo de be gu MPP
ye gunu na wasema wa kasa pictures ni pen nam
oh munya nipa de
we ni pen na wo okay me to challenge my MPP for no
je say kra the base me join first na Ajakom de no
the best be ni hobi
me join de
John the best papa no.
Sir.
Otibonsu. The best na yet say the Makan in Japan obedi anim no. The best na yet Alan Adeba no. The best na yet Cheda Adeba no. Sa the best be ni baby a. Ajakom the best na ye omafu no omodida. Ye the best na ye ka ho asem no. Aye Ghana first.
Se mutimi de me papa Kennedy badia me.
Sinama wo say yetimi ni ba. Kan in Japan me stick sisu say. Can Japan ye MPP ni? Oh yeah, the best. edi kan Japan na tie what dey kan odni kasa kakra na oba abontene o see 2027 June no mo no IPP for ba ti o mo piga what you say what country the base for say we free me dada and the IPP for now mo say ye dey be pam kan Japan and kan ba ba no IPP mu a wetima pam kan Japan onu anu hu say o ma maka nyansafo bi anim to wo free na wo memna aboagye ne mo ayemu ene ayemu MPP ma Dr. Bawumia ayenkula party nti kan Japan no nyam wo ni tirim adwem papa wo timi kreta adwuma ebi adwuma no ondi wachi mfaso be no say kan Japan ka MPP mi ko campaign ma at the base na be yo mo shock na endis for kwa ye be hunu na omo endis for 2028 omo ka omo say shock wo the base no much na senko fo ne kasa no enye ko ani tifo ye ne abi fo de omun ka ho ye ne anti tifo ne ba fie so ye ne anti tifo ne ba ko sa 2028 abana ye bato abi fo de omun ka ho
eti the base no mo dey replace MPP magu MPP
nka
ana ma take over
ya take over na onim de baba so e me ma to 2027 oh one year MPP fo kura baka Ombaba bontere ba patch say the base in fam kan you say em fam kan okay o master at the base na aya ho den aye di ba obi abetime ni ene ye fati ye NDC party bi antranche
okay
obi a oni mu ye betime ko 2028 abano aye NDC nkwa
okay
at MPP de omakura omo ye ma omo nka ho
okay
international ma sa ne te
na yemra nsem ni miracle aboagye de ababa tudwa se ensua fanifie ensua fanifie ne yere ne omuniema nyina sei onte John Mahama ka John Mahama ama omumwa
ada John Mahama ye MPP ni
o debi se John Mahama wo se omu affected no oboa wo mu aban ne boa wo mu
ada ba bi okosi dan Mahama ne ka so onkosi awase Ghana police service Ghana soldier for Ghana police for was say ya coaching
ade
so wa hu so ho yensum Ghana mmelakura kyerɛ sɛ ma yɛnsi na wansu na wo mmereka boade wo nya nipa kuto ye Bawumia ka samafo ana meboa ana wakosi dai wansu ana osan sɛ president sanfa sika nsa maw wadi Ghana fo nyina temo and I was say Ghana priest for Ghana lawyer for your court for ade ache mmereka boade na was so much o money because ade a yesi Ghana fo sɛ yɛ nfu aso no mmereka boade ne na aban MPP for Dr. Bawumia for Amma Dr. Mnakaboacha kosi dan awonsuum. I was say kubu dan no. Yes. Yanko I was say no kwa say ye twen ho kra. NDC for NDC abai. Aye wanti na ya ba yo. Ye tu amba momu. I was say Mnakaboacha mu chitum. Na mo mani dem. Ayanko say tem na oka no. Wo wan ka say wonim say ahoye nsuo kwan. Na wakosi kwan wasanya no kasa se abanya wodai onya wodai waba 8 years wasanya kwan kosi dan abanya onya Mahama nya wodai Mahama de kaze kosi dan si ho Mahama de kaze nsuo mayero Mahama oto nsuo Mahama oye nsuo tigana dabia me kasa sam wo banya jimi fu a wa jimi onim nya so kosi dan wo nsuo ma nsuo fa na no di brem ne bo aban no mnako ba me fancy o ajimi de dia me se o ajimi wo ye de Dr. Bawumia ka samafo unim sem Ghana mna makwa se dan wonsum ana wakosi ana asa ye Ghana fo ye sa mo ni ye ma president for credit a obetuma de aye ka kwan no a obetuma de si hospital no a obetuma bom esebi omani nan no ensa for sa credit de mfra wo mna kambo a che se wo hot sign
Dabi say yes sir. O say enka ba kra John Mahama stadium bi no mfo mu nyina nkogu ho e bia na ommoa wo moa
na de Dr. Bawumia di ho
na
mnaka na so kasama Dr. Bawumia on kasama Dr. Bawumia
Bawumia nye president
dabi say on mebisa say on kasama Dr. Bawumia Dr. Bawumia timi mu na chese odi Dr. Bawumia chi no mfa so bi eni so ye wo he yemfa stadium enkogu ho adama yemfa dipa ne nkogu ho na nsuo ni twa ne asade o mabagu ho na next time nsuo sato a ne asade o makogu ho o man ne yabekɔ enti o man ne betima putumpo nti mnaka ba yase ni babu kra ka o se nyo na wanyini pini nim nyasa obi ha ya wo no ye wanyini enwi wo ditrim eye fita nyansa di nyansa onim adinti na wo mneka bo adin kan kire Ghana fo se wo tu afiri omogbabu dan ngu na kope hotel da kope so obanyi sika to esidan na ka se yesterday na ya de bobo no a enche ye Ghana Premier League basate ye fa mu nkogum
ose ai dia siri nyina no ode ni nyina be hye John Mahama ne na ban omo na masade we nyina ba
omo aye no kra aye nisifo say nisifo na omo nim nyansa MPP fo ni nim nyansa so 2021 show to Ghana ayiri anamgwa 22 23 toy na herefo na teso
MPP
and this for young first and this for Jimmy o
na nsuo for voter for Krakow de so
oh me ba me ka ba obetemase and this and first and this for Jimmy o ma ba 1.5 year ni omunim nyansa anyansa for akati for omunim nyansa wo MPP mu no o ma tina Ghana nkonya nso 8 years and sure for sa akopem to omu sole 8 years MPP for nyansa and for solution say yes kwanya emansuo nyiri ane ndc abanya ba just 1.5 year and people say aban no omu first bombo aban bechi aban ana na do nyega na fon to abaman na do Ghana fon to na do ahu sa nyansa no oni ne MPP ahu nyansa ye wo ha voter hona ye ho ya anye dam ne bie sanye nsuo ayiri ekofo na do ankancha se o man to abamam voter for no munya Ghana for what's MPP for no mu kasa ho nyansa na ni ho nyansa sam na o makare ni ho na do kra president mu awo the whole Ghana ya to about say but hey yesu work of voter dam na wona na do sata ma ye wa banet so no ma hu nyansa no mu bia na voter na ba fa o na do say ya to abamam nti onya mua we de nyama ha Ghana ban bia ne bia yo anya this for ne bia ye nyame ne say me tum nsuo na nkofo na mebom nsuo to ho no omu de omu say omu nim nya kache me nyame anti me gi be 3 days but nsuo asay ho ba bia omu te asay omu no anya mahamo anti we mnaka bo ati me busa wasam say sanyansa MPP for ntimi anye ndc about 1.5 ada ndc about watena konya no so say 1.5 year the whole year me bona baso na we kwa mi kwa na me president Mahama ho kamin ham ho bi dabi say Ghana for no e fana wonim suo na ayire no ai 85% ayetimofo no omote ho 85% ayetimofo no because obi kwa timi nsuo to no no obie ni toilet no ade afam ohwie ne boiler ade agum na nsuo ayaban abane de ne say 15% na awo no also oye gota store wa ya wie dia adenti na wuti mani na gatas na o dia to ho enu ni dia ye 15% na wuti mani na wa ya gata to ho no wo wati me sesa bola abi o toilet anzuo na dia gu ho anti ya ban fort dabi ndc aban ni fort ba ko kete aye timafo na mesi ye de small boat timafo na sel omo tu nyankopon abode afi na omo betem nsuo no so enyame ne boyo nsuo ni te say ye nipa ayete ho ayekase omo so mu kasa na wayi ne kwan ato ho wo de wo se wonim nyansa wo frele na wo si nsuo na kwan nsuo to nsuo ne ba mafia ente edu ho kasa aye ndc aban hey mene ka bo ata be careful ade wo ye hweye na wan kasa ansam ne o kabima kwan a odi ba faso no wonim nyansa ka odi bo Dr. Bawumia na nado say omu fanye saad ma nsuo nyiri wagan 8 years ensam hunu na namonam Ghana hana
anu chinsu na ayisu tisi achi Afenyo marking eno o se nsuo no kwa anya na eba be yiri nanso na na kwa kufu ade na ban na omu fa ho e ma chese toto ne ma maniema ko yie John Mahama etu opposition nsema okekan ye afi oba ye di on so di subo nyina bo John Mahama ena o se ye twense Dr. Bawumia beba na obaboa solve some problems yi nyina
oh na sinama yakasa ade akoyi a mfase matade na cheme atete de na waso ye so dabi waso awase de na waso
o solution
o che kwan a obeti anya abafa so bache me busa afini mu atese kwan be na MPP for ye omote na 8 years sinama nyesa ye na dura bia ye wo mpanifo bebere o mabodam na o mo she code omunim yansa no mo che code MPP ye de onka on terms ade we na MPP ye omudi mo ma no na cast NPP dia na mobile na na do mo book no matter say draw ne wo book say ye de ye awie anti solution bay Afenyo Mahama ba ade no waye woni NDC ba ma hu say wasate abubu dan a wonsu ni abon amanfo bor NDC aba so bo ana meboa NPP ba 8 years ni sada we na omusini fufuru ana meboa anti Afenyo me pese me busa question say sada na mo wo so na omunim say wo wa ban na te hon emram makwan say yensi sada no wonsu mu na Afenyo wo he ma sada we nyina NDC aba ba awo bubu en mu pese ya kasa NDC aba de obubu nkofo dan ne so mram makwan say kosi dancing sum anti Afenyo tradition na mo ye ne de eni asem tradition na mo ye ne say omu magana fo koti omusika gu nsuom na drube aban bi ba na omubu na omo de subo na bo aban no ano na epi fo ye ne omo anya solution magana fo say omo bo agana fo ma omusika na omo koto agu nsuom ho no omo banya adepa frim sisi omo amuti dan wo nsuom yin a aban ne babubu agu me dachi ye beto ba omo de ba ye campaign na sadi we aban bi o de ba ye campaign bi anyankopon betua de ka say wo se Mahama bubu ayi kwan ansuo na ba mai Ghana fo ho atoya wo se obaye de baye compare ya mbetua anti Afenyo match na nkasa o mi hu se wakanya nsasa ma kira Ghana fo da anti we aye Mahama na no Mahama kan chese ko si dance nsuo mu ana wo start wo bubu na mu complain mu ko anti si aba kora start ayi solution maye anti MPP fo de o mu fo o ma sam tenase na Ghana fo on fire ya hu
eno ano no abusua de masi e kwa ebe sa ba biem na Black Stars so ya free mo
o say e no ma chao na utimwe coach na yade yamba coach na ba yade
coach na yade
ba yade
na no selection basa bi okoye no coach na yade
ba yade
umpeni fuona selection de hen
mpeni fo be
umpeni Black Stars umpeni fuona umpeni fuona ade coach de o person selection be na person
na de no yi benyama sari free
ade won ball no ti say keeper we do die ne benye fa broni be ne ba fan first
broni be ne be fa ho first
ben keeper sifuo mi no ya say yanto mo a team pa to a broni be ne ba fa o mo mi no first
obia wo kon fa so to keeper
nti abenya za de basa baston basa baton
na re sa tizigi basa nto no
chimi atizigi bona da wonya mistake o
ate
anye tizigi anka waso komo share 4
ate
ade benya sale koda yan share wonji 2-1 wonji bi mun kan chese wonji bi Ghana fo yen janya atom no atizigi defender na o prayer o mu yi ni film
oh ya
ana ma 18 na o prayer o yi
sana nya onye sana
sa prayer na o yi no woni say no ye better power ball no
yeah
ye yi ni for akwa rasta na ye de ma busa say de no ye
ali du sedi
de no ye ehwe pass na enkofo ni di map aye hon na na ejina ho defender papa ben na ojina ho ante atizigi na motake no wa unimbo mu bi entake atizigi
dia atizigi ball ho mode
oh yeah service for no ye
ama forces en kasare na nkadema
ka
ball man fu
ti asali dem ye lose 2-1 meboa asali dem ye lose 2-1 ye nkasa asali anyade o ya de ye hwe aye ye ni indambo na ye boy shot do say no boy
na se asare ntina omanti asare omusi
omubo 9
se hurricane jibo na no tu na ni na asare na dema na bibi hunahuna enti hurricane wantimi kura nse da mo shot papa bia ankoponi
match no see the Ghana difference is different sa no mudin ka match we ka ba call
o na se asare so na hye defenders no o sa na afukan
aya bro omo ya imagine say omagu atiziga ni gbasi omo ya bono omo bo 19 minutes no okay atiziga nya ye okay ye nim front na wo hane
tenti ne ka se Jordan mo so amom homode
nyeso omo sa hwe Jordan akwaye obo titi sumanyo wa hitiba bo kura nko keeper na so
ono ya dio
mo timi ambo kwana yi kura ma bo anko enti atizigi na mo di blame komano ye bo 90 minutes no plus 6 minutes no mo tira me shot Ghana pa Ghana kwa ye players na
anim front three na ye do mu koye mun kyerem short a mu boye mun kyerem short a mu boye ya bo for match you can say you can say Jordan mun kyerem short a Jordan boy
okay
and the wo team na team anim na nya sanete
okay
and the mama fan go share atizigi nya he medie bengasal wadane de awie wayade atizigi suada sense o save 4 sana ya na injaman bengasal o save 3 4 plus nyindi senti eye de ko ye gabi gana fo mun jasa
abusuari asi ya kwa basa ba biom akra mu nyina